a woman in midlife and beyond, and I will not be quiet, right? I mean, I won't be quiet, and I refuse to be invisible, and we're not done. And as a matter of fact, we have so much to offer the corporations in this world, the political environment in this world, the family structures of this world. At this stage of the game, we've done it all. And we have buckets of wisdom and buckets of information that can and should be shared. And so being quiet and disappearing, to me, is just, it's just a non-starter. That's just not going to happen.
Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I'm your host, Kavita, and the founder of Power Purpose Play, a global community of women in midlife. I'm here to tell you that it's your time now to rediscover what has always been inside of you and bring that out into the world. If you're wondering what's next, but don't know quite what that is, or if you feel a twinge in your heart telling you that you have so much more to do and so much more to offer, you're in the right place. Ask yourself, if not now, when? Do you want to leave your job, start your own business, take control of your health, reignite the passion in your marriage, write that book, or at least that first chapter? Transitions like this can be daunting, but through listening to my story and interviews with incredible women every week, I hope to inspire you to take action. I rediscovered myself after the age of 50, and I know you can too. It's my time now to help you do just that. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. We had a week off from the podcast last week as I was fortunate to take a mini trip with my best girlfriends to Nashville, a much overdue ladies' weekend, and a wonderful Mother's Day as well. How was your Mother's Day? It's so great, isn't it, to celebrate our wonderful mothers in our lives. To those of you who received my weekly newsletters, you may have seen a picture of me and my mom as she celebrated her 80th birthday a few years back, still as beautiful and gracious as ever. I feel truly blessed to have strong women around me, both family and friends, and who I also continue to meet every day through my work. I feel blessed also to be able to help women like you through whatever challenges or opportunities you may be faced with as you are in a life transition, whether that be a transition in your work, your health, relationships, and asking yourself, what's next? You know that I am a certified life transition coach, and it truly makes me happy to help women rediscover their strengths, passions, and help them uncover blocks in their way. That's what my coaching program is all about. So if you are interested in learning more, email me at kavita@powerpurposeplay.ca, and we can schedule a complimentary coaching consultation so I can explain more. I'm also pleased to announce that I will be sharing some insights from my coaching program in a series of 6 webinars called the Midlife Rediscovery Blueprint. Join me in the first webinar this Friday, May 20th at noon Eastern Standard Time, where I'll be talking about how to rediscover your strengths, passions, and values. The link to the webinar is in the show notes, or you can email directly again at kavita@powerpurposeplay.ca. And I can send you the login details to you as well. We will also provide worksheets and exercises for you to follow along with during the webinar. In addition, as mentioned in previous podcasts, in my quest to empower 1 million women in midlife worldwide, we are offering our online course, It's My Time Now, completely free of charge. Email me again and tell me why you think it's your time now, and you will receive access to this comprehensive course with 7 modules and 26 lessons. It is a curated journey that I have created from my own experience of reinvention and after years of training and research, as well as through interviewing countless women through this podcast and other venues. If you're interested, contact me today. I'm so pleased to have on the show this week Jack Perez, who is the founder of Kuel Life, an online platform where Jack champions change through normalizing aging for women through curated content and women-driven brands. I'm pleased to say that I am now a contributor and thought leader for this awesome platform, and I look forward to sharing more of my knowledge and experiences in this community. If you haven't checked it out yet, check out Kuel Life. The links are in the show notes. Enjoy the episode, and I'll be back with the key takeaways at the end. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I hope this day finds you well and you are stepping into your inner power and purpose. If you're new to this podcast, I'm your host, Kavita Ahuja, and the founder of Power Purpose Play. We are a global community of women in midlife who are saying with confidence, "It's my time now." To that end, I interview incredible women who will serve as inspiration for you and who will give you examples of how to face the obstacles in your way and take that first step towards reinvention. I am super pleased to have on the podcast today Jacqueline, or Jack Perez. Jack founded Kuel Life in 2017. Through her platform, Jack champions change, normalizing aging for women through curated content and women-driven brands. The Kuel Life community grows daily, with over 54 Kuel Life industry thought leaders and 40 women-driven brands. Kuel Life offers women an opportunity to share, learn, shop, and play with their second act sisters. Previously, Jack spent 20 years at Summit Strategy Partners, a San Francisco-based marketing and public relations firm, where she was a founding partner. She brings extensive, deep startup experience, having worked with hundreds of small to mid-sized companies. She's excited to finally birth her own startup. Having earned an MBA from the University of Chicago, Jack carries a hard-nosed business understanding to the entrepreneur world. She is fluent in Spanish, and we're going to talk about your trip coming up, and having worked with multiple international firms. She has a clear grasp on cross-cultural influences, and her passions include spending time with her son, traveling to exotic off-beaten places such as Cuba, Jordan, Zambia, Bolivia, and Zanzibar. And she is an endorphin junkie and likes to throw heavy weights around, is an avid jump roper, and a third-degree black belt in Taekwondo. Wow, that's such a great introduction. So pleased to have you on this show, Jack. How are you?
I'm great, Kavita. I'm super excited to be here. And you can up that number of 54 to 55, ma'am, since you're onboarding.
Oh, yes.
Soon. I'm super excited to have snagged you and your expertise. Our women are going to love what you have to offer. I'm so excited about that.
Oh my God, I am so excited too. Thank you so much. I just love writing, and I love the platform you've developed and you've created, and it's just so needed in the world. So I'm excited to be a part of it. I wanted to start by just asking you, I just went through your colorful background, 25 years in marketing and public relations and working with all these large and small companies. And I just wanted to find out from you, why did you decide to launch Kuel Life? And was there a deciding moment in your life that you decided to, I guess, reinvent yourself and do this?
Kavita, that's a great question. And I think that this is probably a fairly common answer. I launched Kuel Life and created Kuel Life because I was personally frustrated and angry that I found myself in a place where I was going through this transition that every other human on the planet goes through, and that's called menopause. It's not a dirty word, people, and it's not some weird permanent thing that happens. But I don't know about you, but I did not know much about this transition. My mom certainly didn't talk about it. My grandmother, what? I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
But then fine, our grandmothers and our mothers didn't tell us about it. But you know who else it wasn't talking about it? Society at large, right? And so when I all of a sudden was exhibiting all these crazy symptoms that I had never had before, and we're talking, it feels like if there was a symptom to be had, I got it.
Yeah.
From weight gain to brain fog to dysregulation of emotion, all the way to vertigo.
Oh, really?
I had bouts of vertigo during that time. But to my knowledge, I had no idea what they were due to. As a matter of fact, it's only been recent that I have read that vertigo could be a side effect of that transition. So that's how little we know. That's how misinformed we are globally. And that's one thing, right? That's one thing that happens to us in midlife, but it can be, right? It doesn't have to be. I know women who went through that transition and it didn't even register on the, which, oh my gosh, more power to you, sister. Like, that's amazing. But a lot of us don't get that lucky. And so personally, it was so hard on me. And I was a shadow of who I had been, right? You said, oh, what a colorful background. Well, that colorful background that I had was gone in my mind's eye. I was a shell of me.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to spend the next 30 to 40 years not feeling well, not being my powerful self, becoming invisible, because that's what it felt like to me. I was growing meeker and meeker, and I was doing it to myself because I didn't like what I was seeing in the mirror. Clearly, I had some chemical imbalances going on that wreaked havoc with me for the first time in my life. And so to answer your question, I did it for myself because I couldn't stand the idea of living the next 30, 40, who knows, 50 years the way things were headed. And I needed to course correct.
Yeah.
But then I thought, oh my God, I can't be the only human in the world. I can't be the only woman in the world who's experiencing this transition in such a magnified way, right?
Yeah.
And I started asking other women about what was going on for them.
Yeah.
And I got so many head nods, like so many crazy head nods, like, oh, that's happening to you too? Oh my gosh. Right.
So crazy, right? How it's so prevalent, but it's not talked about.
We don't share.
I know. It's getting a little better, but I agree with you. I mean, so your experience is exactly what I experienced. I mean, probably not to that extent, but I did have all of that. Like I had the weight gain, I had the hair loss, I had mood swings, I had sexual stuff.
I mentioned the hair loss.
Yeah, right. But then the other thing that happens is like it's this storm of things. You not only go through the menopause, but your kids are leaving. Maybe your career is at this stage where it's like, oh, yeah, do I want to do this for the next 30 years? So it's a whole storm of things that happen. And
it continues, right?
Yeah.
Because you are right. I mean, menopause is like kind of the tip of the iceberg, right? Almost. It's the straw that broke, quote, the camel's back from my perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what got me moving and realizing, oh my God, I need to do something. But also most divorces are filed by women over 50 and over. So you're talking people who end up staying in their relationships. Well, how do you maintain a relationship that's 25, 30, 35, 40 years old?
Yes.
There's some opportunities and challenges there.
Oh, sure.
And if you decide to end that primary relationship and you don't want to be alone the rest of your life, then you're dealing with this whole other bag of tricks of like, how do you get back in the dating field?
How do you find somebody?
How do you get back in the dating field? Yeah. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to create a place, sort of a repository, so to speak, where we could come together, women in midlife and beyond, and share this information with each other so we could learn from one another and also play. Because you did say we learn, share, play, and shop. And we could talk about that later if we talk about it at all. It's not that important. But the idea that we can bring together women from around the world who have domain expertise in these arenas that are very unique to the season of life to provide the information that is sorely missing. That's what my mission became. It became this need to educate women and so that they don't feel alone.
Yeah.
Because you're not alone. Chances are, and I say this all the time, like if your child is off to college or leaving town and you have your passport in hand and you're waving goodbye, that's absolutely normal. Yeah. If you're also grief stricken and having a really challenging time and needs some help. That's also normal.
Yes.
But how do we know these things unless we talk about them and share them with one another?
Mm.
And how can we help ourselves if we don't have access to information about what we can do to make things better?
Amazing. Amazing. And I wanted to ask you, because when you were going through that, you decided to create this beautiful repository of information that you've created. Is it because you didn't find anything out there that was helpful to you?
Kavita, 100%.
Okay.
And okay, so you're talking 2017, right? When I had my aha moment. And we all know that you have an aha moment and there is a hot minute between that and actually figuring out how you're going to execute, correct? I mean,
yes.
I definitely saw the need because I couldn't find anything. Now, I am happy to report. I'll tell you, women are freaking amazing. We are a very powerful collective force.
Yes.
And between 2017 and 2022, there has been a proliferation of women-driven brands showing up in the marketplace to support us as we go through this season of life. And there's still not enough.
Yes.
No, and it's funny because I get occasionally I get questions from some of the thought leaders. They're like, "Oh, did you see this new magazine that's on pro-aging?" And I go, "Uh-huh. Well, are you worried?" I'm like, I'm not worried. I said, "Do you know how many there are of us?"
Yes.
Between the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, and then the elder millennials, which are sort of entering into that 40 plus space.
Yes.
We outnumber any other population sample on the planet.
Yes. And that's so true what you said, because I started Power Purpose Play for the same reason, because I was looking for a place to go to that where we can talk about these things, right? So I developed this community. But what's interesting is in the last 2-3 years, I've noticed that too. There is a lot more. And I think that's a great power of women, is that we celebrate that we don't say, "Oh, I'm that person doing this." But it's more like, that's awesome that person is doing that, because the more power to women when we share our collective wisdom, right? Hi, my friend. Kavita here. Do you often feel blocked from moving forward? We all feel that way at times. These are referred to as energy blocks. I've created a short, actionable PDF guide to help you release your negative energy blocks. Click the link in the description to download it now for free. Now, let's get back to the episode.
I got to tell you, and we come by it honestly, women can be very competitive with one another.
Yeah.
But there's some history to that. I mean, there is an explanation for it, right? When we were coming up in the ranks, I started off in corporate America. And when I would look in the room where it was happening, I didn't see, maybe I saw one chair that was for a skirt. Yeah. So if my skirt wasn't in that chair, then what did that mean? Right?
Yeah.
So I think we've been sort of indoctrinated, maybe. Maybe that might be a kind of a harsh word, but we've definitely seen and we have been taught directly and indirectly that there's just not enough room at the table for all of us. And so we got to be better than everybody else and work 5 times as hard as everyone else so that we can get that coveted seat. But here's the best part of what you're doing and what I'm doing is our entire table is for skirt.
It's a big skirt.
There's tons of chairs. You have a skirt, we can find a chair. And when I often say, listen, I'm pretty small. I can just move over. You can share my chair.
Exactly. That's amazing. I love that. So, Jackie, you touched a little bit on Kuel Life, and I wanted to know from your perspective, what is it? Like, specifically, what is it? Why are you so passionate about it? You talked about it, and you talk about normalizing aging. And tell me what that means to you.
Okay, so I'll answer them in order.
Yeah.
So Kuel Life, the vehicle of Kuel Life, happens to be a website, right? Okay. So that way it is accessible by anyone, anytime, anywhere in the world. And we also have thought leaders from around the world, because as you you read in my introduction, I am a huge believer in sharing cross-culturally, because there are ways that other people, viewfinders from other people, that can expand and potentially help us look at our scenarios and our issues and our challenges in a different light. And so I think I'm a believer that the more information, the better. You don't have to act on all of it, but having it and knowing it's out there, I think is important. So that is what Kuel Life is. Okay. Why am I so passionate about it? Because I am a woman in midlife and beyond, and I will not be quiet, right? I mean, I won't be quiet, and I refuse to be invisible, and we're not done. And as a matter of fact, we have so much to offer. The corporations in this world, the political environment in this world, the family structures of this world. At this stage of the game, we've done it all. And we have buckets of wisdom and buckets of information that can and should be shared. And so being quiet and disappearing, to me, is just, it's just a non-starter. That's just not going to happen.
I love that, buckets of wisdom, because we have buckets of wisdom, we have buckets of experience. And we're also at this stage, I think, where it's like, I can do anything. Not everyone says that, but my thing, and I think your goal, is to really encourage women to say, you can do it. You have the next half of your life to do whatever it is you really want to do, and stop thinking that you can't, right?
Yeah, that's the first step. I mean, if you think you can't, then you can't, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, that's why I'm doing this podcast, because my motivating thing is I want other women to realize, like, look at these people that I'm interviewing, look at what they've done. You can do it too.
No, I'm not that special. I mean, I'm not a genius.
Of course you are.
Well, no, but what I'm trying to say is, if I can do it, your audience can do it as well.
Yeah. And it's like, it's normal people. I am interviewing, like, I'm not interviewing celebrities or like.
I'm not that unique. I'm not that. I mean, it's not like it's not like I have some crazy IQ or I'm 6 feet tall and have some unique properties. No.
But you're passionate about what you do. And that's the main thing. What are you passionate about? That's what I want to bring out. It's like, what is it that drives you?
And that takes me to your third question, which was, what does normalizing aging mean to me?
Yes.
And what it means to me is what I described earlier about the empty nest, that we stop, and women, we are some of the worst culprits in this. We have to stop judging one another.
Yeah.
And I see it even in this, quote, pro-aging environment. I see some weird dissension amongst the ranks, meaning like, okay, you color your hair. Well, why aren't you gray? How could you say you're pro-aging if you color your hair? I'm like, because I want to color my hair. And I am at an age where I give no Fs. Yeah. So I do not care whether you like it or not, because it's not for you. Yeah. It's for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. I want us all to feel empowered by each other's decisions and choices, and have that room to not judge a fellow woman or another woman. I guess the use of fellow maybe is not so cool. I don't know. We're in such a bizarre world. Literally, it's like, sometimes I'm like, okay, can I use that word or not use that word? But my point being that it would be really wonderful if there was more room, that we gave each other more room to express ourselves and make choices for ourselves that have nothing to do with anybody else or impressing anyone else.
It's about being your own person and not worrying about judgment from others and learning from others, because we all can learn from each other. It's whatever role you played in your previous life, for example. Everyone, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what status you have. Everyone fundamentally is the same. You talked earlier about, transitions occur because there's a trigger that happens usually, right? And in my case, it was maybe menopause or like a career change or whatever. And then you make a decision about what is it you want to do. And then it's the action. But it's always that trigger and it doesn't matter what stage of who you are. It's very common.
Yeah, because when I ran the marketing and PR firm out of the Bay Area, and we helped launch, we sprungboard startups. That was what we did over and over again.
Yeah.
All of those individuals had something, right? They came to us because they were really passionate, and it was basically a trigger for them, and they needed to pursue it. And I never had that. I never had that until it happened to me.
Yeah.
And it happened to me at 52.
Yes.
So my point is that it's never too late for it to manifest. It's never too late to stumble across it.
Yes.
As long as you're breathing and in the world, the opportunities are there.
Yes. As long as you look for them and take advantage of them, right?
Well, yeah, you do have to act upon them, right? I mean, it's true. You can't, you can't be a dormant participant in your life. You
expect things to come to you. Yeah. You have to be aware of the signs. I believe in that. Like you have to, in the last 2-3 years, the people I've met, it's because it's incredible that the network of people I've met, because I'm open to it. If you're open to receiving those signals and acting on them, then your life can change. Really. It's incredible.
That's how we ended up knowing each other, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We both got some signals, acted on it. After 5 minutes, we're both like, we need to be working together.
Absolutely. So there's another thing you say about redefining midlife. Is that similar to normalizing in your?
Oh yeah. No. They're yes. You know how, and I know this because I did marketing and PR, right? You say the same thing over and over again,
different ways.
3 million times.
Yeah.
But when you're the one that's saying the same thing over and over again, sometimes you have to find a different way of saying it.
Redefining, reinventing. It's all kind
of right. Normalizing.
Okay.
Because you get bored of your own. You're like, I got to get out of my own head.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about fear and what women, like when you started this out, I'm sure you had fears or you were hesitated, and a lot of women do that. We were talking about going after the thing, but when you go after the thing, then all of a sudden you get all these things in your head that say, I can't do it, or fears that, you have a lack of courage, right? That stops you from moving and doing the thing. So what would you tell women? How would you tell women to take the first step? Like, what is your advice for women who have that fear?
Well, the first thing I have to tell you is that, at least for me, the fear has never really gone away. I still occasionally have this, who the heck do I think I am? Like nobody, like who made me the queen of normalizing aging?
Me too.
Yeah. Nobody came down from up high or Mount Olympus and anointed me with any sort of magical powers.
You still have the fear. And so do I. Like, I wake up in the morning sometimes and I go, I'm doing this. Why again? And I know that I have that mission that I have, but it never goes away. Right?
No, it doesn't. And so that's okay, because fear can be a very powerful motivator, right? And what I specifically do with my fear is, if I have made a decision and it's based on some sound processing, right? It's not crazy willy-nilly decision making. If I make a decision that I want to pursue something, and it's kind of far out there, so it's a little bit intangible about when or if I'm going to know I'm successful, then I ignore the fear. I register it's there and I ignore it, because the fear is not there to save me. The fear there is to trip me up. Fear can be your best friend too, because it can save your life, and it can prevent you from making mistakes as well, that you really are better off not pursuing particular avenues. So I can't say that ignore your fear, period, because that's not healthy. But if you believe in your plan and it's sound, then the fear is just noise. It's just noise.
I think it propels, like you said earlier, it's a motivator. It propels you forward too.
Yep.
Right. Because then I know we talk a lot about this comfort zone and that, but because if you're not getting outside of the zone that you've always been in and getting a little uncomfortable, then I don't believe growth happens. And the motivator, like you said earlier, is fear. Right. But then the flip side of that is courage. Maybe you can say, I acknowledge the fear, but I'm going to do it anyway. But then developing the courage to go forward and do that, that's another whole
skill.
That's
just practice, and start small. Be courageous over something that isn't that scary.
Mm-hmm.
Start getting those in your win column. And Kavita, you said something about if you don't step out of your comfort zone, you don't grow. Well, I believe it's even worse than that. I believe that if you don't step out of your comfort zone, it's not that you don't grow. I think we start to shrink. I actually think we start to atrophy.
Yes.
Because we're not exercising our brains and our bodies and our thought processes. And I really think that we can shrink and shrivel instead of grow. I don't know that homeostasis is an option for humans. I don't know that we get to a place and we just get to stop. I think things are happening and they can go in the positive direction or they can go in the negative direction, but you're never just going to be standing still.
Yeah. It's so interesting because we exercise our bodies, right? We exercise the muscles in our body and then we get stronger. But if we don't exercise that courage muscle, then like you said, it's going to atrophy, right?
Yep. And it's not just, think about, the pandemic, right? I didn't really go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere. I had some extenuating situations around me that made it so I had to be super careful, not for myself, but for loved ones. What happened after 2+ years of not going anywhere? The first time I got on a highway on my car, I was like, whoa, what is going on? Everybody's going so fast. Everyone's coming at me. There's so much stimuli. Because I stopped exercising those muscles and that habit. And so it atrophied and I was uncomfortable. The first several times I got back in that car, especially at high speed, I was intimidated and a little afraid. And I thought, oh my God, I'm too young to be afraid of driving.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because you describe yourself as an endorphin junkie?
Yeah.
And so tell me about that. Like, how did that, I know that, we talked earlier about how part of my business name is play, right? We talked about how, and that to me, that means, that can mean anything. It's a definition that it could be like jumping out of the plane or just being with yourself and meditating. It's just about how you want to spend every moment of your life to the fullest, right? Yeah. So what does that mean to you? And I know, I understand you had an accident, a skydiving accident. Did you want to tell us about that and how that kind of changed your life, or did it? Or
it completely changed my life. Completely changed my life. In August of 2022, the day that I was supposed to take my kid to college.
2022?
This year.
Okay.
Oh, 2021. We haven't had
okay. Yeah.
Did I tell you I'm a time traveler as well? All right, let's try this one again.
Yeah.
August of 2021.
Yeah.
The day I was driving to drive my kid to college, we stopped at a skydiving place, and I jumped out of an airplane with my son and my godson.
Did you plan this, or was just kind of a?
Oh no, we planned it.
Okay. I was like, you just stopped off the highway and you just dropped the plane
out of an airplane before we dropped you off. Yeah, 2 drop zones, right? No, we had planned it. Talk about like reactions to your child leaving, right? Talk about reactions to empty nest. My reaction to the empty nest was to try to shoehorn in as many amazing experiences with this person before, in my mind's eye, he was gone forever. Turns out that they don't leave forever.
They keep coming back.
Wish someone would have told me that before I put on the parachute, right?
Oh my goodness.
No. So suffice it to say, the landing did not go according to plan, and I did not walk away from that experience. I had 3 broken vertebrae in my spine.
Oh my goodness, Jack.
And was basically relegated. Yeah, it was basically relegated to bed rest for months. At least 2+ months. I was mostly lying down.
Wow.
But listen, I'm grateful. I didn't have to have surgery. I didn't have to have a back brace. Turns out, back to maintaining your physical fitness, it's not a pure vanity play. We need to keep our bodies physically strong because accidents happen.
Yeah.
You're going to fall.
Yeah.
And you don't have to jump out of an airplane to fall. You could trip on your stoop, taking the family dog out for a walk.
Yeah.
And so it's really critical to keep your machine, because you only get one. We're given one at birth, and then they take it back at the end. But that's the only one we get. And so you gotta work on keeping it as fit as possible to take the bumps and bruises that come along, because it does happen.
Wow. In those 2 or 3 months that you were recovering, that must have given you a lot of time to reflect, and what was that like? Because somebody who's so used to being on the go, how did that affect your life?
Well, it made me stop, right? And reflect. And because I'm older, this is also one of the best things about being older, I fight less. I fight against the current less. If the universe sticks something in my way, I get curious about it instead of angry about it. And I could have gotten angry. I really could have. But that experience brought out so many amazing attributes of my life that I hadn't noticed before, because I was running so fast. And one of the primary things is my immediate relationship, right? You don't know your partner until the proverbial, what hits the fan.
Yeah.
And
you can
then I wasn't sure if your audience would like, when the shit hits the fan, people. Yeah. That's how you know people.
Yeah.
And my partner, he showed up for me in such a way that dumbfounded me. I was blown away. And so I would not know that. I would not be privy to that piece of information had I not gone through what I went through. And then the other thing I realized was that I was exactly where I needed to be with Kuel Life, with what my mission is. And suffice it to say, though, I'm fine now. I just ran a 10K a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
So I ran I ran the Charleston Cooper River Bridge run.
Fantastic.
Which was really important to me to prove to myself that I could come back, that I could bring my body back.
Yeah. So many important things there, because I completely agree with that, with especially women in our age. It's so important to have the strength and to work on your bodies every day. And I try to do that. And it just makes you feel better. And the other thing you said is about slowing down. Sometimes you have to slow down to speed up, right? And well, you do. You can't speed up unless you're slowing down, right? So
right. And some of us have a hard time doing that.
Yeah.
And so in my opinion, whether you're a believer in God, the universe, whatever, your spirits, whatever it is that your belief system is, for me, it's the universe. And the universe, I don't know how many times it has to prove to me that it has my back. And so I stop fighting it. But I'm getting better. I'm getting better. And that does come with time and experience, right? Because if you get enough of those opportunities and enough of those messages, and you follow through, and you start to get a history of information about, okay, well, when this sign comes up, if I don't fight it, I'm better off.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So, that's wonderful. You talked a bit about, you said something about your mission. And so tell me a little bit about Kuel Life now. How has it grown since launch? And then what is your vision moving forward for it?
Yeah. So when I launched it, first of all, the website that is available now to our community, that's actually a professionally made website. The original website I cobbled together with Scotch tape, chewing gum, and buckets of tears. And no, I am not technical. No, I am not a website developer.
Right.
No, I am none of those things. But I was determined, right? And if you're determined, there's really nothing you can't do, right? But so I went from a skeleton of a website where I was the sole contributor. So I wasn't contributing every day, maybe once or twice a week. So it was pretty shaky ground.
Yeah.
But when I went and spoke to women, because what I ended up having to do is, you could say market research if you're fancy, or you can say stalking, because that's sort of what I did. I went out and stalked women who were writing about the topics that I knew to be relevant in this season of life. And then I approached them and I said, look, I can show you this. It sucks. I know it sucks, but here's why it sucks. But here's where we're going with this.
Yes.
And turns out enough women were able to see that and feel, I guess, from me that they were safe, that this was really going to happen, that I wasn't in it for the short run, that I wasn't going to bring them along and then ditch, because I started getting more and more contributors. And so I went from one contributor in 2018, which was when we launched.
Yes.
And now we have 58 contributors.
Congratulations. Amazing.
And at the time we had no e-commerce platform, no shopping experience. But what happened is the more and more I talked to women, the more I realized that was a key component, that women want to be able to support other women-driven brands, and they want access to it. And that's what gave me the idea to add the curated shopping experience. But that didn't come until spring of 2019.
Okay.
And now there's 40 brands and we're still growing. More brands are coming on board. So it's working. That's and where amazing. Do I see this going? Oh, we are going to be the quintessential spot for women to go to find the information that they do so desperately want and need. And the people and the women who are there, who are experts in those arenas in case they need additional help. Because a lot of the women that write for Kuel Life, they're also either coaches or doctors. I mean, they can provide additional services to women. But if women don't know what they're about or what they have to offer or what the problem is or the solution is, then we don't know who to go to for help. So that's the idea. That's the goal. That's the vision.
That's why I was attracted to you, because it's such an important thing that you're doing. It's so needed, and it's so fabulous that you've brought these amazing women together and that you're creating this community and the repository of information, and now your shopping experience, and all the power to you. Honestly, I can't wait to see where it grows.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Although after saying all that, I'm a little fatigued. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Well, you should take some time off too. Play.
Play is important. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wonderful. That's wonderful. And what we'll do is we'll have obviously your links and everything in our show notes, and so people can go on. But before we go, I wanted to ask you one last question, in that, what are you the most proud of?
What am I the most proud of? I think I have to say I am most proud of my parenting skills. So it's interesting because I never had that, I need to be a mother. I didn't have that maternal pull. As a matter of fact, I had my baby at 38. So that just goes to show you how little maternal pull I had.
Right.
But I looked at parenting. Now, mind you, there were belly kisses and sandwich making with feet and neck kisses and piggyback rides. There was all of that stuff, all of it. But I also looked at it as he was my employee and I was his supervisor, and I needed to help guide him so that he could make better decisions for himself and grow as an individual. And I worked really hard at that. And now I have a 19-year-old freshman in college who is not a teacup. He doesn't shatter when he falls. He's resilient. He's a little too independent, if you ask me, because it would be if he called me every now and again. But I did a good job. And so
we all do a good job. That's amazing. That's so beautiful.
I'm proud of that for me. That's what I'm proud of, because
as you should. Yes.
Yeah, that's been that was my biggest challenge and my biggest success so far was that.
Yeah. If you ask me that, I would say that's the same for me. I have 2 boys too. And it's just wonderful to see how you play a part in their growth, their success, and also helping them through all the hard times. Right. So
I looked at it like my job was to help him become the kind of human that somebody else will want to live with for the rest of their life.
Nice.
And so, because it wasn't going to be me, right? I mean, we get them for such a teeny tiny amount of time.
I know. Amazing.
Right? And then they're out there in the world. Sorry.
No, it's true. But thanks for
reminding me of that. Right?
Sometimes, that's a hard question, but that's a wonderful answer. Wonderful answer. So before we go, Jack, anything that you wanted to end off with, or anything Any message you have for our listeners?
Sure. If any of your listeners happen to be someone who has something to say that can help women in midlife and beyond, and that's whether or not they have an area of expertise in divorce or dating or fitness, or they own a woman-driven brand and they know that other women need to see their products and services that could really be helpful, have them reach out to me. Because as I said earlier, yes, I didn't actually say this, but I will say this now. Yes, I built Kuel Life. Yes, I'm the founder. Yes, I am whatever. I run it. But it's not mine. It's all of ours. It really is. It has a life of its own. And so there's so much room if any of your audience members feel a longing or a pull, or it sounds like, okay, this feels good to me. If it feels good to you, reach out to me, because chances are, if it feels good to you, it's probably a good fit.
And I am looking forward to contributing. And that's why I was pulled to you, just for that reason, is because we need to spread the word of that we're not done yet. And we're just getting started, right? So,
ma'am, we're just getting started.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. I really enjoyed the conversation and all your tips, and just your energy is so contagious. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kavita. It was a pleasure to be here.
Take care. I trust you were blown away by Jack's incredible positive energy and humor and gained a lot from our conversation. Here are her key takeaways. Number 1, women are freaking amazing. And even though there has been a proliferation of women-driven brands now, there's still not enough. 2, we've been taught that there's just not enough room at the table for us women. So we've got to be better than anyone else and work 5 times as harder as anyone else so we can get that coveted seat. The best thing about platforms like Kuel Life and Power Purpose Play is that the entire table is for skirts. We need more of them. Number 3, normalizing aging means we as women have to stop judging one another. We should all feel empowered by each other's decisions and choices and have that room to not judge. It would be really wonderful if we gave each other more room to express ourselves and make choices for ourselves that have nothing to do with anyone else or impressing anyone else. 4, it's never too late. As long as you're breathing and in the world, the opportunities are there. Number 5, fear can be a powerful motivator. If I had made a decision that I want to pursue something and it's a bit intangible, then I ignore the fear. I register it's there and I ignore it because the fear is not there to save me. The fear is there to trip me up. Number 6, if you believe in your plan and it's sound, then the fear, it's just noise. Start small. Be courageous over something that isn't that scary. Start getting those in your win column. Number 7, the best thing about being older is I fight less. I fight against the current less. If the universe sticks something in my way, I get curious about it instead of angry about it. If you're determined, there's really nothing you can't do. Thank you again for joining me. Again, remember to reach out to me, even if you don't know what a coach does, or maybe you don't think you need one. Schedule a free call with me to explore what may be on your mind, and I can explain how I can help. Join my webinar this Friday and my online free course, It's My Time Now as well, for complimentary information to get you on your own path of rediscovery. Remember, my friend, if not now, when? Till next week, stay well and stay safe.